Hello, sea lions and dolphins, and welcome to your learning for today. So we're doing literacy now, and we're going to do some really nice literacy work today. I'm going to share my screen with you and get onto our Active Inspire straight away today. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all happy at home and you're all safe, and the work's been good so far this week. So today we're going to look at information text, and then you're going to create your own information text about Henry VIII. So obviously we've done a good amount of Henry VIII work in topic, but also we've been doing loads this week, haven't we, in literacy. So we know you know quite a lot about Henry VIII and about his wives and about his time as King of England, and obviously the fact that he was King of England. And what we want you to do is create an information text. And what we've been doing this week is doing lots of features that are part of information texts, so that now you should be quite familiar with them. But if you're not, or you feel a bit unsure, don't worry, because the whole point of this bit now, where I'm going to talk to you, is to tell you all about information texts and what needs to be in them. So on the screen, you can see two examples of information texts, one about sharks and one about crocodiles and alligators. But you can see already probably a lot of the features, pictures being, a really obvious starting point. So we're going to go through these different features, talk about how to do them, what you might include, and then you can have a go at the end. Now, I'm sure you've seen this kind of text before. So an information text is a non-fiction writing, because it's not fiction, because fiction means it's made up, it's not true. And obviously the whole point of an information text is it tells you things that are true. It tells you facts. So it's a non-fiction, and it's intended to inform the reader, so give them facts about one or two specific topics. It's usually just one thing. It's usually, as you saw on that previous page, it's just sharks or just crocodiles and alligators. It's one really specific topic. Occasionally, you might find ones that cover multiple topics, but generally they zone in on one thing. So you can find them in lots of different places. You can find them in magazines, history and science books, autobiographies, newspapers, instruction manuals. So obviously an instruction manual is an information text. If you've ever done Lego or something like that, it has the instructions, tells you how to build it. That is an information text. Even though there's not a lot of writing, it is telling you how to do something. It's telling you about a specific thing. So it is an information text. And like I said, you can find them in many, many different places. And you'll have used loads in your life without perhaps knowing that you have, which is quite interesting. So what are the key features in information text? So this is what we need you to familiarize yourself with, because these are the things that we want to see in your information text today. There are some optional things you can sometimes have in information text, but what we thought is we're going to focus on the things that really always have to be in information text. I mean, I know we've worked in some things here that you'll be very familiar with, like titles and subheading. I know we've done loads of subheadings in class, and there's some things we might need to talk a bit more about as well. So first things first, we have a title. That is number one. So a title at the top of your page, it usually goes in the middle, and the title generally tells you what it's about. So it can actually be a really simple title. If we look back to our examples here, one says sharks and one says crocodiles and alligators. It's nothing more complex than that. It's really, really straightforward. The title just generally tells you what the information text is going to be about. Number two, introduction. Now, the introduction usually is a brief paragraph, and we've done these in class a little bit. They're a brief paragraph that introduces you to the topic that you are going to talk about. So for instance, here we go, sharks. Sharks have rough skin and they cannot fold their fins. Sharks have strong jaws, brackets mouths, and many have sharp teeth, but some have flat grinding teeth. Sharks have a fantastic sense of smell and can sniff out food from huge distances. There are about 350 types of shark. They include some of the largest fish in the world. And then it goes into more specific things like hammerhead sharks, great white sharks, the fastest shark, did you know facts. So the introduction is this part here at the top. It's just 2 or 3 sentences, not a lot, just together at the top, just underneath the title before anything else. So people have to read that first, because obviously it's important they read the introduction first. And it just sort of introduces the topic and tells you a couple of key facts about what you're talking about. Number 3, separate work into paragraphs. Well, we all know what paragraph is here, year 4. We've been doing them for the whole year, and you've done them for many previous years. So paragraphs, so this is a paragraph here that I've highlighted. This is a paragraph here. This is a paragraph here. This is a paragraph here. So it's a little bit of text, isn't it, that's on its own, that has a gap between it and the next bit of text. And what you generally find is each paragraph has a subheading and is about a certain subject. So this paragraph has a subheading, why do hammerhead sharks have a funny shaped head? And they do, don't they? They do have a funny shaped head. Really odd hammerhead sharks. I love them. I love hammerhead sharks, but they are quite bizarre to look at. And so that's the subheading, and it tells you what specifically that paragraph is about. And that paragraph only talks about hammerhead sharks and why they got a funny shaped head. It doesn't even tell you other things about hammerhead sharks, just why do they have a funny head. And that's it. And it's really specific. So you've got to pick what things do I really want to talk about in my information text, because you can only fit in so many paragraphs. So you have to think, what do people really need to know? What would be really interesting? Subheadings. So just talked about them a little bit. Again, we've done these loads in class. So subheading examples in this are, how do great whites find their food? Which is the fastest shark? Why do hammerhead sharks have a funny shaped head? So there's a few subheadings there. You can see they're all really introducing what they're going to talk about next. So they're all questions, aren't they? How do great whites find their food? Question mark. And then underneath, they tell you how great whites find their food. Which is the fastest shark? Underneath, they tell you the fastest shark. Now, they don't have to be questions, but they often are. And I would probably like to see you underline them with a ruler, because although, yes, you don't have to, the reason they don't have to here is they've done big bold text, haven't they? You can see how much thicker and bigger the text is for the subheading than the rest of the writing. So that makes them stand out. But that's quite hard to do neatly when you're writing. So if you underline them, that's probably the better way to do it. Use a range of facts. So when you're doing a information text, it's all about facts. You can't just sort of give your opinion. It's not really what this is for. This is to say, this is a fact, this is how we know, so you give your evidence. This is another fact, this is how we know, you give your evidence. So there is lots of facts in this piece of writing. There's loads here in the did you know part, which we'll come on to later. This is all facts. The world's largest fish is the whale shark. Longest known great white is 6 meters, hammerheads grow up to 4 meters, etc. That is all facts. But there are other facts hidden in the paragraphs as well. It doesn't have to just be in a did you know box. For instance, the short-finned mako shark is the fastest shark. It can travel up to 70 miles an hour. You can see these are all facts that they've highlighted. And so this is what you need to get into your writing. You can talk a little bit about your opinion perhaps and give a bit of background, but the vast majority of this writing is all about facts. It's not about your opinion. Next, we have correct punctuation. Goes without saying, doesn't it, Year 4, really correct punctuation, but it's important when you're trying to learn new things. It's important to remember the basics, because sometimes we get so carried away with what we're learning, we forget all the basics. So for instance, capital letters, the nouns, hammerhead shark's a thing, it's capital letter. The start of a sentence, capital letter, full stop. Yeah, capital letter, full stop there. There's lots of examples. Question marks here at the end of questions, having a question mark. Apostrophes for possession. There's lots of examples in here that you can use. And you've really got to make sure that you are remembering these kind of things, capital letters, full stops, commas for lists, things like that. So you might well do a list in your information text. You might list, if you did about sharks, I know we're not talking about sharks, but if you did about sharks, you might list all the different types of shark, and you'd need a comma after each one, wouldn't you? So if you listed all of Henry's wives in our information text, you might do commas between, well, you would need commas between them to make it a list. Finally, a conclusion or did you know. So at the end of an information text, usually they have a conclusion or a did you know, or both. Did you know box, obviously you're very familiar with now. It's just a box like this where it has some cool facts. It's just did you know, and there are some great facts in there. And if you didn't know that, now you know, do know. And if you did already know, you can really feel smart about it. But also you can have a conclusion, and a conclusion is usually like an introduction, but it's at the end. So the introduction is a short paragraph that introduces the subject. That's this bit here. And sometimes at the end, you'll have a bit exactly the same sort of length, but it will just be wrapping it up, and it will talk about what you've learned, and it'll, maybe that's where your opinion could come in, I think the best fact about Henry VIII is because, and maybe that can be your conclusion. So, or overall, I think Henry was a bad king because, and that sort of thing is what you would fit in a conclusion. So let's look at another example. I know spiders, horrible, but they are very, very interesting, and that's why there's lots of information text about spiders. So let's spot some of our things. Let's go back. These are the key features we're looking for. Pause the video now and have a look. When I flick back, have a look for these things in this information text. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Pause the video and then unpause it when you're ready to continue. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to pause. If not, pause now quickly. So let's find some things. So we've got our title at the top. Spiders, that is our title. Let's look for an introduction. We've got an introduction here, haven't we? At the top, nice introduction telling us about spiders, that they're the world's most common land carnivore. So there you go. There's a fact. World's most common land carnivore, brackets, eats meat. Nice fact there. Let's look for some punctuation. Got a question mark here, capital letter, full stop, nice bits of punctuation, comma in a number. See if I can find anything out. Exclamation mark down here. Lots of good punctuation in there. Got pictures, haven't we? Got 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures. Makes it nice and bright. Keeps your attention on it. Let's look what else we're looking for. Work into paragraphs. We've got loads of paragraphs. We've got 1 paragraph up here, 1 paragraph here, 1 paragraph down here. And then you can say that the fun facts in this case, rather than did you know, is sort of its own paragraph. Done title. What else are we looking for? Subheadings. Let's find some subheadings. Find me a different color. We've got a subheading here. Subheading here. Subheading here. So we've got also multiple subheadings, again, 1 at the start of each paragraph, just as we were talking about before. And we've got a conclusion, did you know, fun fact. So, and use a range of facts. We found some facts. So you can see there is loads of, and I'm sure year 4 you found plenty that I haven't pointed out. So well done. I'm sure you found plenty that I haven't. It's just me going through showing you quickly how many things there are in an information text. And so there's loads of opportunities to put these in your work. Okay, so your task today. So your challenge today is to create an information text about Henry VIII and his life. So obviously he's a very interesting man, had some good moments and some terrible moments as we found out. So what we want you to do is use your knowledge of Henry VIII. You can also do a bit of research before you do the information text, either on the internet, books at home, go through back to the learning we've done in previous days when we've learned about Henry VIII, go back to our topic work, things like that, and use all the information you have about Henry VIII to do an information text. So what you need to do is remember to use the key features. So what I would do while I'm working is I'd have this up and I'd have one of these up, whichever one you want to have. And I'd use these to begin with to start my work, because if you create your work to look like these, you can't go too far wrong because they are very good. And then after I'd done a little bit, I would then look at this and start to try and make sure I've got everything that I need to have. Just to start with, do a title, an introduction, we can do a cool picture, a subheading and talk about it. And then once you've done sort of this area here, you need to then start thinking, well, I'm about halfway through my information text. I need to make sure I'm including everything I should. So that's where you need to then get this list up and make sure everything is there. You could also write these down, I suppose, before you start, and therefore you can leave the video just paused on one of these, perhaps this one, because it's got the different coloured markers, perhaps leave it on the spider one, and then that would give you a really good example to work from. As ever, year 4, if there's anything you want to ask us, if there's anything you're not sure of, please let us know, and we'll be very, very happy to help you. I'm in my lab today, so if you want to email me, I'm sure my robot, which is behind me, you can see, will come and tell me you've emailed me, and I can help you out. Obviously, at the end as well, if you want to show us some of your amazing work, please do. Like with the posters and things we've done recently, we love to see all your work, but especially things that are bright and really amazing to look at. And the information text you create, I have no doubt, will be. So have a great literacy lesson. Enjoy the work. Let us know how you get on. And like I say, if there's any problems, please let us know. And I will talk to you all later in the day.